it's kind of just been my ethos, really. Just make sure I'm creating the art, make sure I've got my blade on the stone or my brush on the canvas. Hi everybody, this is Andrew here, and I'm doing this video as a kind of a weekly artist update, what's going on, what I was up to this week. So this last week, I worked on a polar bear, Italian alabaster polar bear, and I've been carving a lot of soapstone basically since December. And so it's nice to switch to alabaster. It's a totally different stone and totally different consistency of stone. And I find it's interesting because I've said this before too, with the softer stones, it's actually, just because it's softer doesn't mean it's easier. It's actually almost easier to make a mistake because the blade can cut through the stone so easily. And when you move to the little harder stones, it's like you have to sort of carve and recarve and carve again the same sort of passage in order to actualize that passage. And so it's almost more difficult to make a mistake because the harder stones actually force you to slow down because it takes longer to carve that particular stone. Where with soapstone or the really soft stones, it's like you can sort of calculate your measurement and then you make your cut and it's done. And it's like one shot, which is actually really cool. I actually really like that too, because sometimes I've done like drawings and carvings that I do really quickly and I stand back and I think, dang, that's like really accurate. And it's sort of like, just because you move quicker or process information quicker doesn't mean it's not going to be as accurate. And actually, I find if you overthink it, then that's when sometimes you actually are less accurate. So I worked on the polar bear this week. I did a lot of digital work. I worked on my website. That stuff can be pretty tedious, and carving can be very grounding, which is really cool. Like, I've found over the years that when I go to the studio and I spend a day carving, it's like at the end of the day, I feel so grounded and like empty, like there's nothing going on inside me. I'm just quiet. So I think it was Monday, it was Tuesday in the morning, I was doing a lot of digital stuff, and I sort of had plans to do a lot of that stuff during the day. And I just decided after a couple hours, I'm like, you know what? I felt kind of disoriented. I'm like, I'm gonna go and put in a few hours at the studio. And so I went to the studio, which is about 20 minutes from where I live. And I put in a few hours at the studio, and it really sort of stabilized me, and I kind of could regroup a little bit. So that was nice. The polar bear, it's a cool piece so far. No real strong titles. I find like usually each piece that I do has like a theme that is actually very much connected to my daily life and the events that are actually happening right now in my life as I'm carving the piece. And so I find it can sometimes be specific, or I can create it to be specific in that, oftentimes a title that I arrive at for a piece has to do with the events that happened, the experiences that I had, the realizations that I had. So we'll see what happens with the polar bear. There's something about working with white stone that is, it's just really nice. It's just like pure, right? It's white, it's like innocent, it's clean. So I really love alabaster. I really love working with alabaster. So definitely keep an eye out for that. I finished my wolf carving, I guess last week. I still haven't officially released it yet. I'm really excited about that piece. One of my favorite pieces of all time. And I think it's my 4th wolf carving that I've done. And it just really kind of came together, and it's a really interesting stone, just a really interesting piece, and it's got a great realism to it. And the title is True Calling. And I'm gonna do a video kind of talking about that piece a little more in depth, because just see what comes up. It's Friday afternoon right now, so spent about 6 hours in the studio today. 6 hours is about the sweet spot I find for me carving. I find it's very intense, like the focus, like it's just me there in my studio, so I'm very much focused on the carving while I'm there. So I mean, 6 hours of that kind of focus is, I find, usually a good number, and I think that number is also, you know, developed within me through doing art for my entire life. So anyways, yeah, today, Friday afternoon, doing this video update. Yeah, thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.